So as you can see, guys, look who we've managed to find. Little Xongile, who is now stalking through the grass. Now I wonder if she's hunting these impalas. So I'm just going to turn my light off for a little bit. I know it's really not easy to see, but the impalas were right here. It's the same impalas that we were just trying to drive through, and out of the bush popped this little leopard. So is watching exactly what was going on. Now unfortunately we haven't got our infrared set up yet, which is not ideal. Now I'm just going to see if she's going to come across the road, because she should pop out right in front of us on the road. Now I'll try and just see if she's going to stay there. It looks like she's just sat down behind that bush, so she's going to use the darkness there. There she goes. Look at how she's leopard crawling. Now I wonder, is this not... No, it is Xongile. It looks like Xongile. I might be wrong though, for those of you who are out there. Hashtag Safari Live. So Jean Ray is going to put it into IR on the camera just to see if we get a bit more light on it. Now, like I say, it does look like Xongile, but I might be wrong. So for those of you who are watching, hashtag Safari Live if you know exactly who this is. But isn't this amazing? Look at how it's down on its belly. Yes, I thought it was Xongile. She is very small, but with all the wetness around her nose looks much darker than normal. But look at her stalking along. Now unfortunately she's stalking right into little Gauri, which is not ideal for us, but as long as she sits maybe next to the road here, we might be lucky and we'd be able to then sit with her for a little bit. Now the impalas are probably about 20 meters to the south of us, and that's exactly where she is. And look at how she's just trying to keep low. So even though she's not been that successful with bigger animals, you can see it's not for lack of trying. So she's really trying hard to get herself into a position and to be able to stay nice and low. See, she's keeping her profile down, and look at those spots, how they just blend in to this environment as she starts moving along. And see how careful she is with her paws. She's trying to put her paws in all the right places. Now unfortunately she's going to go behind a little bush here, so I'm going to just roll forward slightly just so we can keep contact with her, because otherwise we're going to lose her quite quickly in this long grass. But I've actually lost her already. Oh no, there she is. You see her there. So she's there. There we go. You can just see the back of those ears, so you can see the prominent black markings and white on top. That shows us that this is a leopard, and this is how they follow each other through the bush. When they need to see their mom or to try and follow one another, they're able to use those markings on the ears. Isn't that amazing? Now, aren't we so lucky? Like I said, it was a very long shot to come out here and to be able to see if we could find these, well, one of the cubs, and luckily we have. Now, I wonder if Hosanna is not somewhere close by. It's a good sign that she was on our side and she's now going southwards just hunting these impalas. Maybe she's going to come back, but it could mean that maybe Hosanna is somewhere around Twin Dams, because we're between Twin Dams and the quarry, which is their sort of favorite haunt. So I wonder if he's not lying at Twin Dam somewhere. So I'm definitely going to check there if she disappears into the long grass. But what I'm hoping is that maybe these impalas sort of move back towards our side and we'll be able to then follow her on our side. But isn't this incredible? So exciting to see her again, and she's looking so good. The last time I saw her, she looked a lot skinnier than what she does now. Now she's looking a little bit more sort of fuller. I wonder if she's not had a few terrapins for meals and maybe a few scrub hairs, and conditions like this evening are going to be perfect for her to hunt. So I reckon that this is a good time for her to be trying to follow these impalas. But isn't that amazing? Look how she's listening. She'll be using that incredible eyesight to be able to determine her environment around her. Absolutely incredible. And I cannot tell you how quiet it is tonight. I think because of the storm, a lot of the birds are not singing like they normally would at this time of the day. It is eerily quiet. There's the odd cricket that's calling, but other than that, it is really very, very, very still and silent. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing, but it is perfect conditions for a leopard to hunt. Cedar Point. This is an interesting one, because I think it's quite subjective to any sort of individual, but you want to know what the air smells like. Well, I can tell you that it smells like, after you've had rain, you get that rich, earthy smell that comes out, and that's what it smells like at the moment. I don't think we've had any time for any fragrant flowers to grow or anything like that, but it just smells earthy and rich, and you can smell the moisture in the air. And as I say, that little Xongile is now disappearing into the shadows of the night, and deeper into little Gari. Now, I'm not sure we're going to be able to keep visual of her. I think she's going to disappear. So what I might do is just go down a little bit and just see if maybe we get lucky with Hosana. That could be somewhere close by. And if not him, then I'll come back into this area and see if maybe she pops back out onto the road again. Like I say, you never know. Maybe she's going to sort of have no luck with these impalas, or she abandons the hunt and then comes back onto the road, and we'll be able to get a better visual of her again. So I think what we're going to do is just carry on now, because like I say, I've lost visual of her completely. I can't see her at all. But isn't that exciting? What a way to finish the afternoon. We're very, very lucky to have bumped into her at the perfect time. So it just shows you how important it is to actually stop when you see impalas and to look around, because had we not sort of gone very slowly through those impalas, we might have driven right past her and not even known she's there. So really, really exciting way to finish the day. Now, we're going to carry on and see what else we can find, as I said. And while we do that, let's go across to Ellie and see if she's had any luck with her lions. I wouldn't say so from judging from that shot there. Now, I can tell you, without any lights whatsoever, you would never be able to see this, and that's why this IR is so amazing and so incredible, because tucked into that grass is a little spotted form of Xongile. Now, you can see her there. There those little spots are, just showing themselves. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely incredible camouflage that this leopard has, and you can see why at night they spend so much time hunting. And that's because they just disappear in this darkness, and it becomes so difficult to see them. And I'm sure what she's doing is she's getting into that sort of grassy area and away from the road, because she, at the end of the day, wants to try and camouflage as much as possible. And she's going to wait for the impalas to start moving back in her direction. And they will do that, because the reason why is that the wind is in her favor, so it's blowing from where the impalas are towards her, and there is a little open section off the road. So on this main road there's a fire break, which is a big clearing, and that's why the impalas are here, because they know it's a little bit more open, they can see a little bit better, and so I'm sure they're going to come out of this thicket and try and come back towards this area, and that's going to work in her favor if she's lying in the grass like that. The only problem with her is, because she's young, she's a little bit inexperienced, and so she's going to have to hold her nerve and wait for those impalas to get really, really close before she tries. The other issue that she has is that these impalas that we saw are all big adult males. Now, Xongile has gotten a little bit bigger over the last few months, but I think she's a little bit too small, unfortunately, to try take on a male impala. It will be a very difficult kill for her. Hosana, on the other hand, he's got the bulk now to be able to do it, but Xongile is a little bit small to be able to get that right. So it's going to be interesting to see when she actually brings down her first impala and whether she manages with the males. So William, you're wondering if Karula could have moved on and left this habitat or this territory to Xongile. Well, William, I suppose it's possible. You can never discount any of these kind of theories, and with Karula, it's possible that she's moved into the Manyeleti, given that Shaluva is now gone. She could have moved further south. These are all possibilities, but it's just a really tough thing to think that she's decided to leave her cubs so quickly and with such an abrupt sort of end. You know, normally with leopards you'll start to see a slow wearing down of the relationship. So the mother will start to growl, she'll start to hiss, she'll no longer fetch them for food as much, but it's a slow process. Whereas with Karula, it seemed like she was with them one day and then the next day she was gone. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible she could have moved and left this to Xongile, but at the end of the day, this has always been the core of her territory. She's always used this as the place where she's had her cubs, where she's denned, and so it would make no sense to me that she's just left these cubs here and left the area that she's most at home to. Now, you must remember that she's had multiple litters, so this is not her first female that she's had. She's had, Shadow, Tandi, Shavinzi, and those are all leopards that she could have potentially left them on Djuma and then moved elsewhere, because of the fact that Safari, Intima, Ostrich Kopi's female, Kwatile, they've all moved on. They've all shifted into other areas, and that means that there was all this territory available even when she had Shavinzi. So at the end of the day, I don't think that's the case, but it's possible. It really is possible. You never know with Karula. You can never discount her. I know that there's been times where she's been missing for 2-3 months, and all of a sudden she just pops out of nowhere as though she's always been there. And so maybe that's what the case is. Maybe she's trying to sever this bond between her and this cub, and this is why we're in this situation. So we'll just have to hold out hope. But as Brent said, every day that goes by, unfortunately, it becomes less and less likely that she's going to return. So we're going to have to just hope that in the next few weeks she does rock up and we see some sign of her that can indicate that she's actually here. Now, there is a game drive vehicle that's just joined us, so I'm going to try and explain to them where this leopard is. It's going to be very difficult for somebody who doesn't know, because as I showed you, you can't really see too much. So I'm going to try and just quickly talk to them, and so I do apologize for 2 seconds. Yeah, but good. The Ingwe is right here, but see where the Marla is? Yeah. So that gentleman that's there in front is Derek, who's my old tracker that I worked with. Now, I don't know if you could see when I shone the light, but there is an impala maybe 2-3 meters from that leopard. Really, really close. Just on the other side of that bush is an impala. So I reckon if she just sits tight, she's going to be... no, but there's a marla right there with her. So I reckon if she just sits still, she's going to be lucky and maybe she'll get it right. So let's see how she goes. Jean-Andre, can you see the impala? I can't see it anymore, but it was there. I saw it very briefly when I shone my light. I don't want to shine my light again because I don't want to blind the impala or shine on little Xongile and expose her, but I definitely saw an impala somewhere close there. I can't see it anywhere there, and it's just out of range of the IR. You can see it starts to get quite dark in the background, so it's somewhere there with the spotlight. It's a little bit more powerful, so pick up the eye shine over the impala. But there she is. She's still just in her little bush, staying dead still. She knows that something is close by, so she's going to try and just position herself in a way that she can hold tight for a while. Now let's just see what plays out. It's at this time that you've got to be quiet and you've got to allow things to take place. And while it looks like we should have lights on them so we can see what's going on, it's much, much better just to let everything play out. And this is where this IR comes into its own. If we didn't have the IR lights, we would be sitting in complete darkness. We wouldn't know where the leopard was. We wouldn't know where the impala was. It would make it really tough for us to be able to sort of tell the story of what's going on. Look how she's moved her head now. So she's positioning her head, listening very carefully, watching. And she's in such a good place. Where she is, there is a little dip as well. So if the impalas walk there, they're going to really have to be on top of her to see her. And it's going to be very, very, very tough indeed. And you can see she's almost poised to strike. She's almost twitching. She's sitting so tensed. And she's got every muscle that's perfectly on alert, so that if anything does come close to her, that she can just spring and be able to grab it. It's absolutely amazing. And the ears will be fixated on that impala. Her eyes will also be watching it. And she'll be able to then pounce if anything does come close. So, Daniel, you're wondering if a female and male leopard decide on their own territories? Well, no, not really. They obviously would love to stay in their natal territory because that's what they know and that's what they're comfortable with, and they know that there's safe points and places that they can go to for food and water. But unfortunately, there's competition, so there's going to be other males and other females that are also occupying those same areas, and that means that those leopards get pushed out by those more bigger, territorial, more experienced animals, and so they don't really get to choose their territory as much as they would want to. I would imagine they have to try and work for it, and they try and find places to be able to find a territory, and as soon as they find a gap where there's no potential threat of a female or a male, they then settle down there. And that's why generally females give a section of their territory to a young female, because she's not strong enough to push out older females, and so she's got to kind of allow for this process to take place and for that little female to get bigger, to be able to then challenge the females around her and expand her territory. Now, you will see a light every now and then shining. Like I say, there's a game drive vehicle that's joined us with guests that are from around the world. And so they obviously don't have IR and they can't see this leopard. So every now and then they're just shining just so they can get a better idea of where the leopard is. So there we go. You'll just see a light flickering every now and then. Now, I can't see the impala anymore. I don't know where it's gone to. Alright, so while we sit here in bated breath and watch what little Xongile does and see if we can't see where these impalas are, let's go back to James, who's in the tent, and I'm sure he's got something just as interesting to show you.